The thing about living in a small town that's nice is that you tend to know your neighbors, you tend to know the people around you. People work as a community to help out.
You know, it sounds corny, but you know what? I like the sunrise over the fields. I like the breeze in my backyard swing. I like waving to people that go past on the road because I know them, they know me. So it's just a quiet life. I like it.
Oh, I love it. I would not live in a city. My closest neighbor is 200 yards, which is wonderful. And we wave at each other. Hi, Art. Hi. And then we need each other. I go over and help him, he helps me.
There's help available for anything at any time. I know a lot of people, they know me. So if I would need anything or they need something, we can do for each other.
Well, I think patient empowerment is extraordinarily important. I think it's one of those things that, at least in this day and age, a lot of people don't do. I think it's taking control of your own health and some of the health decisions.
I think it means a lot of things. You know, my first word is power.
For a long, long time, and I know even just me growing up, we never questioned doctors. You know, we never questioned when someone said, take these pills, this is what you need, you know, do this, physical therapy or whatever, you did it.
I think that allows a patient to have control over their care. Just because the doctor says walk, if they can't walk, they can't walk. So it's their decision, and they have to stand up for themselves.
It's a feeling of relief and to know that you are in charge.
Being empowered, I think, basically means being able to research and to ask questions and to say, I have options, you know, in my healthcare and the healthcare that I choose to allow myself to have, basically. I think that's very important to have that, yeah.
Becoming educated about anything I had. I've got several things going on in my body, and I had to educate myself as to what it was, the medication I took, how long I would have to take it.
Especially today, in this day and age, we have obviously access to the internet. And I think that can be both very good, and I think that can be very awful in a lot of ways.
You know, I think that started a long time ago. Before my first child was born, actually. It was a time when there were home births. And I mean, this was a long time ago. And I found a doctor that would do a home birth. And, you know, everybody was going, why would you do this? Why? And it's like, well, why not? It's my choice.
What a person has to do in this day and age, basically, is they have to be able to say, this source I'm going to run with, or I've got these 3 or 4 different opinions about what this problem is, and I need to choose the one that's most viable, that the resource is the most accurate. And I have to understand that not everything that I read on the internet is going to be in my best interest.
I think when I grew up as a child, doctors were like the god. We didn't go to the doctor often, and it had to be pretty serious, I think. But whatever the doctor said, that was the word. I mean, that's what we did, and it's been that way. And I think as I grew up that way, we just never questioned anything. So when I could question and make some decisions of my own, it felt great.
the doctor didn't know me as well as I know myself. And I just feel like if you don't stand up for yourself, who will? So.
When I had both knees operated on, I got new knees. They're all titanium. I got a titanium shoulder. And it was a little sad then because I said, well, what if I never could run again? And I asked the doctor, I said, what do you think? He goes, well, I'm going to tell you to walk. I'm not going to tell you anything else. But you're an adult, you do what you want to do. So I went back to running.
My father is one who never goes to a doctor unless there's absolutely something wrong. And that's kind of what I grew up in. And if something's not hurting, I'm not going to go see a doctor. My dad's a perfect example of that, who waited for decades before he went to go see an eye doctor, because if you'd go to the driver's license place, they'd say, your eyes are fine, you can see. And then he goes and gets them checked, and he's got glaucoma.
A home delivery was not a thing at that time. The hospitals didn't like doctors delivering babies outside the hospital walls. And we had moved to a small town, and I was looking for a doctor. And I went through a couple because I asked him questions. I was used to doing things a little bit more my way. And he said, well, this is what we do. We go to the delivery room, we do this. And I said, I don't want to do any of that. He said, well, that's just what I do. I said, then I'll find another doctor.
You have to do things on a regular basis. You have to get your teeth cleaned regularly. You have to, go to your doctor on an annual basis, get your blood pressure checked. All those things that you're told to do that sometimes we don't do because there doesn't seem to be anything wrong. And I think that's really important.
He backed down. He just said, well, as long as everything's going okay, I don't know why we can't do it your way. And that was another thing of power. It's like, okay, and it is empowering to know that you can change things and not take their first word and say, this is what we have to do. I have changed doctors before because I felt they didn't listen to me. And that's part of a balance. And having a doctor that takes the time with you, that you don't feel rushed, like you've got 5 minutes to talk to a doctor and they're on to their next patient. To have a doctor that you can sit and talk and discuss things.
I had one trouble with a couple of doctors, and I just said, okay, thank you. And I didn't go back, and I found another one.
I was told I would have to have surgery, and I was introduced to the surgeon, which was in the same office building as my doctor, and it said it was okay. Well, then, a week or so later, through friends that worked in the surgical department, I found out maybe I didn't want that guy. So I empowered myself. I went back to the doctor and I said, not here. I want to go, and told him where I wanted to go for my surgery.
I was talking about my knee surgery, and it went great. I thought they did a really nice job. But when the bill came in, which I thought was completely covered by my insurance, I owed $3,000. And I was like, oh, that doesn't seem right. I remember them saying to me that this is only going to be like 10% and $100 deductible or whatever. And so I actually physically went in, and I remember this is probably 10 years ago, and I went in and I went to the billing and I said, I've had my knee surgery done. They did a great job. I have no complaints about that, but I don't understand why I'm getting, this charge. And they looked at it and they're like, yeah, you probably, I don't know about that. And she went back and took the bill and was going through things on the computer, came back and said, yeah, we've discounted you that $3,000. And I thought, well, all I had to do was ask a question. What if I hadn't come in for this? And I think that's true with almost anything.
I like to go to the doctor, and I have a list of questions usually written down, because once I'm in the doctor's office, I forget things. I think, it just happens. And then when I leave the doctor's office, I think, oh shoot, I was going to ask him this and I forgot. So, my doctor now knows that I'm going to have this list of questions, and we're going to take a while. And that's just it's a good feeling to be able to do that.
When you start asking questions, they know you're concerned, and they know that you're going to be someone who is concerned about their own health, and they're not going to blanketly just trust the doctor. So I think it's really important. And every doctor that I've ever been to, they don't get insulted. They actually are like, "Well, that's a good question. Let me explain this to you. Let me show you what this is, and let me give the studies on this. And here's some other information and some more documents that we can give you that you can look into." I think doctors want to help you, but you have to be the person that actually asks those questions, and be concerned about your own health care. I think that's important. First of all, find a doctor that you trust, and I know that's a hard thing to do. Find a doctor that cares for you, is going to take time for you, and someone who doesn't just see you as another person coming through the door. That when you go in there, they go, "Hi, Dave. How's the tennis game going?" Or "How's that trip? I saw that you were telling me last time that you were going on this trip." That they remember. And they know who you are, that you're not just another person that's in and out of the door. I think that's super important. And again, I would say even go in with a set of questions before you even start. When you go into the doctor's office, say, "These are the things that are bothering me. Here's the things that I've researched and looked up. I don't understand this and this and this. Can you help me explain?" And if your doctor's willing to take the time with you to explain those things to you, that's the man you're going to trust, or the woman you're going to trust.
I think there were times that I backslid. My husband had cancer, and he was terribly ill. And I think that was such a shock to go through at a time like that, that I think we both let the doctor dictate to us and to him what the treatment should be. And sometimes in times of crisis, it's hard to remember that you can take a step back and refocus and ask some questions. And that took a while, but at the beginning it was such a rush. And I think until we had time for it to settle in and get some realizations back with us, we let the doctor decide some things. But as we went on, then it was time to say, "Oh, let's step back and think about this and get our power back a little bit."
Okay, become educated. Teach yourself all about it, and then talk to other people who have maybe had something of this sort, because everybody's different. What worked for him may not work for you, and you may have your own, but find out about what you've got, how you got it, if there's a way to know that, and what you can do about it. Pushing a pill isn't the answer for everything.
I believe it's all about asking the questions and establishing that trust with your doctor, to make sure that you're getting the best health care that you can get, in that situation, for whatever that it is that you're dealing with at that time. So, yeah.
Speak up for yourself. There's only one person going to do that, and it's you.
I am empowered.
I am empowered.
I am empowered.
I am empowered. We are empowered.
It's kind of hard nowadays to get a doctor, dude.
I believe it.
I mean, I just don't understand why they... but